God, Melanie, it's been so long. It's been so long since I've done one of these. I feel like I've let everybody down. What is this? Oh, no, we don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want that. Or do we want that? What am I doing with this? There's too many windows! Baby Lance, what's up, dude? How's it going on the other side of the world? How you doing? Chill over there? You guys hanging out? You doing all the fun stuff? All the fun stuff and things? What's up, dudes? What's up? What's happening? I finally have a free night to be able to jump on for a little bit. I'm not at the shop stupidly. It's 3:30 Oh, yeah. You're in Italy. Why are you even awake right now, Levi? Why are you even awake? I got some pretty sweet updates on the rear engine setup on the STI. Figured I'd show you guys some of that. I'm holding off on doing any videos on that until the car comes like completely back from fab and whatnot. But we'd be staying busy out here with 22B customer stuff, the rear engine STI, the FD, all sorts of goodies going on. Tanner, what's the best starter Pokemon? Obviously Squirtle. You can't beat, because Squirtle is obviously the clear choice for any best starter Pokemon right there. Australia's going well. Working lots at the moment. That's not always a bad thing, though. No time for car, 12:34 in Australia PM. Oh, at least it's like the afternoon. Is it summertime over there? It's going into summertime over there? Is the engine giveaway going to be able to be shipped? Yeah, so with the current giveaway that went live, if the winner's not local, I will ship the engine to you, obviously, and you can do with it as you will. If you don't want the engine, there's also the option of a $2,500 Rally Sport gift card. So you can opt for that if you already have a built motor and you don't need another one, or if you want one. Charizard also isn't a starter Pokemon, Levi, but nice try. Yo, if you want to host a Forza stream this time, I'll talk to Awais and see if he wants to do another one, and we can just like get a big live stream thing going. I think that would be kind of fun. Yo, exciting! I'm the guy who accidentally ordered a small shirt and needed a large. I got you fixed, man. I got that one sent out. I think I'm pretty caught up. There's a handful of orders that I still got to get through tonight to get them shipped out, but any easy 30, not in the near future, unfortunately, sir. But check this out. Check this stuff out if I can moderate my screens properly. There we go. Look at that, dude. We got a 6-cylinder mounted up in the back of the Subaru right now, and it's looking pretty wild. And clearance-wise, there's actually way more clearance than I thought there would be. David, I saw your order. I got that one sent out this afternoon as well. My dudes. My dudes. This time I actually stocked up on stuff, so not everything is made to order, so that's pretty sweet. When's the kit coming in for the RS? They just emailed me yesterday and told me that it'll be like another 2 weeks, so it's not the end of the world if we got to wait another 2 weeks for the kit to come in, but we got other stuff that we can be doing. The engine just shipped out, so we got to build a short block and everything for it. But yeah, that's actually balls to the walls insane, dude. It's sweet. It's sweet. The subframe is coming along. They're putting a, let me get my face out of the photo. They're putting in a cross beam between these two subframe pieces right here so that it will be one piece. They just got the transmission cross member done as well, so lots of progress going on with this thing that I haven't really been sharing too much of. Are you going to do another VB build? I'm not going to say yes or no right now, but I'll say keep an eye out in the near future because you might be pleasantly surprised for what's coming in. Are you giving away an EJ or an FA? This time it is an EJ with Subaru raising the prices on FAs, dude. That stuff is stupid expensive to build FAs. Now, have you guys seen the price hike on the FA20 and FA24 oil pump covers, the front cover that goes on it? I think they raised the price up to $1,600 for that front oil pump cover alone on FAs. FA engine prices are stupid expensive for stuff now. Tanner, do you have a how-to on moving the battery to the trunk? I do not, but I can make that because we're literally doing that on the 2.5 RS tomorrow, so I can actually make that its own video if you want. With this rear engine setup, what do you think the vibration is going to be on your seat as well as noise? Honestly, it's probably going to be loud. I'm not expecting this to be a quiet setup by any means. Nobody has done this before either, so there's a lot of unknowns and variables that we're gonna have to kind of figure out as we go through doing this. But the car will still be all-wheel drive. It'll still utilize an EG33, so it's going to be a stroked 3.7 liter twin turbo EG33, sequential transmission, rear engine, all-wheel drive. So it'll be It'll be a sweet setup, but like I said, there's a lot of unknowns and variables that are going into this right now. Bro, I need those media dad hats, bro. I will literally buy 3 of them. Next time I do it, I'll get another run out. I think all of mine are pretty much at the end of their lifespan, so I actually do need to do a restock on that stuff. Hey Tanner, will there be an RX-7 dyno episode? Yes, there will be. I'm just kind of fighting through some of the little issues with the RX-7 that's not really worth filming right now, getting the car dialed in. So for the FD people or the rotary people, the RX-7 guys, we did a small tuning session with Ryan and got the car to a drivable level. And then the next day I went back to the shop to take the RX-7 home and drive it around. And then the fuel pump hanger started shorting out, blowing the fuses for the main feed pump. So I just need to pull the fuel pump hanger out of the fuel tank again. And the fuel tank is building up pressure. So I need to figure out what's going on with the vent line. I did finally get the TPS fixed on the FD if you've been following that car. And I went through like 4 OEM TPS sensors. None of them would work. Got the JDL one that uses like a Mustang sensor, and then it fixed that problem. And then immediately after that, we did tuning. The car's tuned to like 6 PSI right now, but yes, there will be dyno videos coming on that car soon. I just got to figure out the last of the little issues with it. Long time no see, man. Hope all's well. Love seeing the progress, my friend. Woo! Hey, appreciate it, dude. Staying busy. Well, trying to stay busy over here. Who's doing the fab right now? So for the rear engine setup, the guys over at Strayed out in Spokane are doing all the fab work, and it's been coming out phenomenal. Like this is what's going on with the transmission mount. I think they're integrating a little bit more into this. They FaceTimed me earlier, and the engine mounts, the engine was physically mounted to the car in the rear of it via this new transmission cross member and the new engine mounts and everything. So it's wild to see that the engine is actually mounted up in the back of the car, and it's not being held in by like ratchet straps or anything like that. It's really cool to see it like hanging out back there. What happened to the Porsche? So it finally got sold. Well, we got a deposit on it, and the dude I think he's picking it up next month, and then that thing will be onto its new owner. It's been being driven around by the consignment guys and whatnot. It's been problem free after I fixed everything on it. It's just it left a soiled taste in my mouth, if that makes sense. But we just got a deposit on it, and it's going to be going to a new home in I think early December is when it's going to its new home. Thank you very much for answering. Anytime, dude. I'm pretty sure lives are required to have Matt or Small Dog as a co-host. I do have one Small Dog right here, but he's chewing on his blanket right now. He's chilling. He's doing his post-dinner chills. It was good to see Matt yesterday, though. I haven't seen Matt in a while. That dude's been like busy with work. No, sir. I just found those front covers for $1,059 from Subaru dealer. I'd post the dealer, but I don't know if I'm allowed to, dude. But I order all my parts directly. Even so, dude, $1,100 for a front cover with the built-in oil pump, an OEM part, is still absolutely absurd. Like, FA engines, they're not the greatest for big power. They're really expensive to build. They're really expensive to rebuild. It's just they're good cars for moderate to medium-ish power. But dude, it's just they're so expensive. They're like, you look at an FA20 crankshaft, FA20 DIT crankshaft. It's mind-boggling. $855 for an FA20 15 to 21 WRX or 13 to 20 BRZ. You look at an EJ25 crankshaft. I'm just using these as an example. $394. $394 versus $855 for an FA. And that's dude, it's insane price for sure. That's what I'm saying. It's like this is one reason why I stick to a lot of the EJ stuff. It's cheaper. It's cheaper, and you can make more power on an EJ. And you don't pay these absurd prices of $855 for a crankshaft alone, which is insane, dude. It's insane for the FA20 stuff. I don't understand it, but that's just one take on it. Have you had any hands or heard anything bad on the new Tesla-looking head unit for the 15 plus WRX? I don't think I've even seen it. The one that I see a lot of people doing are the iDoing ones, and the iDoing ones aren't bad. I see a lot of people do the iDoings. I've done the iDoings quite a bit, but no, for that I haven't seen anything along those lines for a Tesla looking head unit. How much carbon deposits does the EGR valve leave on the intake valves in the FA? I mean, honestly, the EGR will attribute some, but you don't have any port injection on the FAs, which is another problem for the back of the valves because they're going to build up carbon anyways, and you're not going to be able to clean them off with fuel. So that's why you have to do walnut blasting every 30,000 miles on the direct injection engines. Otherwise, you end up with a ton of buildup on the back of the valves. And then that can just lead to other issues, reduced performance, valves not seating properly, compression loss as the valves aren't seating properly. So I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, but it's just the EGR probably makes up a very small amount. Raven Shaw, appreciate the dono, man. Hitting up your new merch. Got any Modify All Dailies hoodies? Would love to just simplify OG Smedia hoodie. Still waiting on the PNG. I don't have any of the just standard Smedia hoodies. We have, I think I have it pulled up right now. We have the Modify All Dailies hoodies, Modify All Dailies tees, the Classic 22Bs, the FD blowouts. The beanies sold out this morning, and then the rotary Ouija boards, which this one is my favorite that we came out with this time. I love this one. And then I also got it updated because people were always inquiring about short block purchases, so you can just purchase them on the website now if you want to. I have 4 or 5 of these at Outfront right now getting machined that I got to build next week. But yeah, I mean, I've been updating a lot of stuff on here. I'm also starting to incorporate in some like blog posts to help you guys. So if anyone needs specific questions or topics answered and you want it in the form of a blog post, definitely let me know. Like, this is just one of the starting ones that I got on here. I have a list of a couple others that I would like to add up onto the website for blog post stuff. So if you guys have any ideas or things that you want to see on here, definitely let me know and I can incorporate all that in. But yes, all the new stuff is up on the site for what we do have. The built engine giveaway goes until the end of November, and then I think the winner is drawn. I think I have it set for like December 3rd or 4th or something like that, and that'll be via live stream, all random like we've done in the past. So it'll be fun. I enjoy doing them. Can I borrow a full turbo EJ255 or a 5.7 liter Hemi? I don't have either of those. I mean, I have some 255 sitting around, but none that I can allocate out. They're all already accounted for, unfortunately. Will you be installing some sort of heat shield cover behind the front seats? So, yes, we will have a firewall and we will have a heat shield that will be going behind the engine to kind of separate the back seat from this. I mean, granted, keep in mind that it's going to be twin turbo and it's going to be very 911-esque, where the turbo is going to be low mount underneath of the car, and then the downpipe, it's not even going to be a downpipe, it's just going to be an exhaust coming off the turbo going to the stock exhaust areas on the rear bumper. This will be an air to water intercooled car, V-mount radiator in the front of it with a push and a pull water pump, dry sump. So with this EG33 setup, I'm doing everything that went wrong differently this time and keeping what went right, and we're retaining that. So it's a lot of trial and error with this, and especially now putting the engine in the back of the car, I'm just complexing it a little bit more, but I'm excited for this. I had the JZ, I had the Coyote idea and all that stuff, and I actually have, funny enough, on the floor behind me, I have a Coyote V8 to Subaru STI transmission adapter because I was going to end up doing that, and it's just like none of them excited me, like sticking with this engine and doing something wilder with it, because moving the engine to the back of the car, like, yes, it is cool, but it also solves a lot of the issues that I had with the car, with no room for proper cooling, no room for the engine to fit properly. This will move more weight to the rear of the car. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into this, but it's going to be a learning experience going into this thing. As a Subaru tech, I am not excited for the Brat. Why not? What's wrong with the Brat, man? Huge fan, dude. Absolutely love your videos. I appreciate it, my dude. I grabbed the part number for the crankshaft you pulled up from IG and put it in dealer website, and I found it for $559.20. That is definitely way cheaper. I mean, this could be a huge markup, but this is where you're going to see a lot of the FA20 prices. They're naturally going to be more expensive than the EJ stuff. $855 might be a wild exaggeration for how much these things actually sell for, but I've purchased a couple of these in the past for a couple of FA20 short blocks I've built for people, and they're definitely substantially more expensive than the EJ stuff is. Just made my purchase as a fellow 2.5 RS owner. I had to get that Subaru shirt. Hey, that's what's up, man. I appreciate the support, dude. I'm hyped, dude. I am so excited for the 2.5 RS build that we have going on. Granted, I feel like I'm in a weird spot with that car where I'm waiting for a lot of parts to come in. I purchased the power steering rack, a whole bunch of the small stuff I was missing, all the e-brake cables, the e-brake stuff, everything that should, in theory, be able to get us to get that thing as a rolling shell again. We are putting in a 2015 STI steering rack into the RS, which will be nice to have that really tight steering ratio in that car too. So I'm pumped. The 2.5 RS is going to be wild. It's going to be a gnarly little 600 wheel build car, especially with the R3, fresh air, anti-lag, all that crazy stuff. It's going to be fun. It's going to be super fun. Any tips for someone who's currently replacing a built EJ20, running a 20 GXTR and upgraded the fuel system? I mean, what are your power goals? I mean, replacing a short block with a short block is pretty straightforward, but do you have a specific power goal or a specific question in mind? Because for just swapping a short block, I mean, it's pull the old one out, put the new one in. If it's your first time, label everything as you're taking it apart, so that way you know everything goes back on. Take a lot of photos. Remember where bolts go, that type of situation. But if you're anything like past that, like are you looking for like a specific power goal that you have in mind? Like what you got? What would be your guess on how much my 6262 will make? That, my man, is it ethanol? Is it pump gas? What size injectors? I need more info. Give me some more info, my dude. Give me like a build spread. Spread you build. Oh, hey, Tanner, finally fixed the extremely low volume issue on the past couple lives that I caught. My YouTube volume was at like 20% and it's perfectly... That happens, dude. That happens. I've done that before. Smedia lanyards win. I have no lanyards, but I can definitely... I can prep those for the next one. I'm going to try to be better about doing the drops and try to stay on top of it a little bit more. People have hounded me in the past for more hoodies, more shirts, and whatnot. And I've always been bad about it, doing like maybe one drop a year. So I'm gonna try to do one a quarter. That's gonna be the goal. So I can do lanyards on the next one. We do have jet tags right now though. I haven't touched my STI in 2 years. Why, dude? Why? Get on it. Why is the STI just sitting? Bring it back to life if it's dying. When I win the built engine, then buy a clean bug guy to put it in. How much to send it to you to do a quick install? I like the confidence in that. For engine R&Rs, I typically go between $3,000 and $3,500 on labor. Normally it's like a 1 or 2 day turnaround time. The labor cost kind of varies a bit on, is it rusty, is all these other things on it. So typically I try to look at the cars prior, but that's kind of where I fall on that stuff. Isn't it technically now going to be a mid-engine car? Technically it's rear engine. So technically this would fall under rear engine because the engine is behind the rear axle. So it's a rear engine car. It would be cool to be mid-engine, but I don't know how I would do that mid-engine. Like really, I don't know. I don't know how you'd be able to do that mid-engine and keep it all-wheel drive still. I think the only way to keep it all-wheel drive and have the engine relocated elsewhere would only be a rear engine setup. I'm not sure how you do a mid-engine setup in this properly. I mean, I'm sure it's possible. I just don't know how you would do it. How possible difficult is it to swap an FA24 or EJ into a 2024 Crosstrack? So the issue, you'd probably have better luck with an FA24 than you would an EJ. The issue with engine swapping a lot of the newer cars, especially if it's CVT based, is the CAN system is so much more complex in those that it's not as easy as take out the old one, put in the new one. In the early 2000s with Foresters, Outbacks, Legacies, that kind of stuff, yeah, you could totally do that. And you could trick the chassis harness and the ECU enough if it's an auto to convert it to a manual. Nowadays, that's not necessarily the case, and what you're going to have to do is pretty much have an entire donor car and swap literally everything from that donor car into the Crosstrack. Is it doable? 100%. Is it going to be cheap? Absolutely not. It's doable, but you're essentially buying a whole second car to put in that car. What I have seen some people do, I haven't seen it with a 2024. I have seen people turbo the Crosstracks before. That is possible. Now I really need to win the giveaway. That's a week before my B-Day. Right? David, you need it, man. You need an engine too. You need one after what happened with yours. I was thoroughly impressed with how out of round the main line was. It was very impressive. What's your go-to turbo for 500 wheel and E as a goal? Honestly, FP Black. You could do 500 FP Black pump gas if you have a right setup. FP Green is a really good one too. The BCP is a pretty good turbo for that from what we've seen in the past. If it's stock location, FP Black has honestly been my favorite turbo for stock location stuff. I feel like when I went rotated on the 05 STI from the FP Black. I missed the FP Black setup more because it was more drivable, it was more responsive, and it was more fun. So I would say FP Black. I like my FP Blacks. New technology and training that comes with all of that, especially with those. Oh, dude, for real. For real. BCP 500 XR. Oh, look at that. See, look at that. David literally said the exact same thing I said. You were talking about hyped up prices on FAs. I bought an IAG Stage 2 block for my 2018 WRX. Was about $3,800. Now it's $4,800. Like, WTF, it sucks. I told you, dude. Subaru, keep in mind, Subaru just did a price increase on all of their stuff. EJ crankshafts went up in price. A lot of EJ stuff went up in price also. But the FA stuff has always been more expensive than the EJ stuff. So when you see the FA stuff jump that much, especially over the prices of the EJ stuff, dude, it's insane. Like I like I like FA cars. I like the FA24 a lot. You guys will more or less be seeing another one here soon. However, they're just so expensive for the OEM stuff and rebuilding them. Not necessarily building them, because you can do the bolt-on stuff for relatively the same price as you're going to pay for EJ stuff up until you get to that point you need the fuel system, but we're not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. But, dude, they're just expensive. Wait, jet tags? I saw none in the shop. Dude, I swear the jet tags are on there. Ah, they're not. I'll add those on in a little bit. I do have the jet tags. How did I not have the jet tags on the site? How did I not have these? I thought I had these on the site. I guess not. Good catch. Good catch, senor. Maybe, you know what? I'm not even going to put the jet tags on the site. I'm just going to throw these in random orders because I've had these for a little while, so I'm just going to start throwing jet tags in random orders. They're just going to go in random orders. That's what I'm going to do with the rest of the jet tags. My short block came in the mail today. I'm going to be continuing with teardown next week, and maybe if all goes well, rebuild week after. You got it, dude. Like I said, we got videos on pretty much everything when it comes to rebuilding these things, so I have full faith in you to be able to knock this out. I got full faith. 2,000cc injectors on pump gas, full built long block, all closed deck. 6266. I'm going to guess, honestly, I'm going to guess like 550. My guess is going to be 550. Corey, have you figured out the rear front differential with the limited slip yet? Meant to ask you earlier. That and the DCCD. So yes, the DCCD configuration we have figured out. There's a company in Australia called Subaru that makes a mirrored bell housing. So Johnny Trans is going to come up. He's going to do our crazy transmission stuff. That car is going to be a sequential with a reverse pinion and a reversed bell housing. The reversed bell housing is going to allow us to keep the DCCD as an all-wheel drive car. As for the front differential with the limited slip yet, I have a feeling that we're going to have to swap out the innards of it for something else, but that is going to be a bridge that we cross later. I know by flipping the diff upside down, we can make it spin the right direction. But as for the LSD and everything like that, that's gonna be something we tackle hopefully in the near future. But that is definitely on the agenda. As for the trans, we've got the DCCD and the reverse pinion and all that stuff already figured out. Considering replacing the single overhead EJ251 in my 03 Outback with an EJ255 from a 2005-2013 Legacy. Main thing I'm concerned about is wiring. Not sure if I should go stock ECU or standalone. Honestly, as somebody who has thoroughly used both stock ECUs and standalones, I would honestly lean more towards a standalone. It gives you so much more freedom to be able to do what you want. You don't have any restrictions, and you can wire it how you want to. Obviously, cost effective is going to be a stock ECU, but you can also get some relatively affordable standalones out there. I don't know if Adaptronic still does that stuff. I know they were relatively priced. Link has some pretty affordable options as well, but it really comes down to what you're doing with the car. If you don't feel the need for a standalone, don't spend the money on a standalone, because you can either save that money, you don't have to spend that money, or you can spend that money elsewhere. FP Green 1050X 20 psi from an intercooler, 3-inch depth, TGV, no emission. I'm calling the EPA on you. I'm joking. I ain't doing that. IG Stage 2 OEM heads with GSC stock side, blah, blah, blah. Florida atmospheric pressure. Dude, the FP Greens get down. What power do I think? 1050s, FP Green. I'm going to say 450. I'm going to say 450 right there. Stock cams, 5-speed. 5-speed! Safely, I'm going to say like 420, which will probably put your torque around 380, 390. If you really want to risk the 5-speed, I'd say send it. You can send it farther. Raven Child, appreciate the donut, my man. There are 105 of you here, only 25 likes. Please Like, this is our boys' money. I mean, this isn't all of it, but it definitely does help with the likes and whatnot. How do you feel about JE Pro Seal head gaskets? So, JE Pro Seals. I didn't stop using JE Pro Seals, but I don't use them as much as I used to anymore. Ever since my buddy Thomas's car, which is that black STI that we did on the channel, it was stock block, then it went rotated, went on the dyno, blew out the JE Pro Seals. I did a head gasket job for him after that, just to help him out with some Athenas. And it's like, if you're not planning for big power, JE Pro Seals are fine, but I wouldn't run them for any big power stuff. Sorry for not giving a build guide. I built the EJ20. I'm running 1050Xs, AEM 340, radiant fuel rails and lines, Tomei headers, and up pipe. Still have the 5-speed in it, so 300 horsepower max. I think you'll be fine with that. I mean, doing it straightforward. That's a pretty solid setup there for what you're doing for the 2-liter stuff. And if you're not shooting for like big power stuff, I mean, a good addition to that is a VF series turbo, VF48, VF39, something along those lines. If you can get your hands on one, that would be a nice little addition for that 2-liter setup. But I mean, it sounds like you're already on the right track with a lot of what you got going on here. About the 22B build, have you thought about going dry sump system? And I have a dry sump. So you guys will see this probably this coming week when we build a short block. I have an RCM dry sump at the shop for the 22B. So we have the dry sump. We need to still buy the oil tank for the dry sump. But yeah, we way ahead of you, my boy. We got a dry sump sitting at the shop for the 22B. So I figured that was the whole reason I didn't do a stock ECU or like a STI ECU on the 22B, is because we have a dry sump. I wanted to be able to utilize pressure sensors, temperature sensors that associate with the dry sump. Like, the dry sump would be nice on a stock ECU car, but being able to have the Haltech and a dry sump, we're really going to be able to utilize that dry sump a lot better and get a lot more data to the ECU. Now, the fun thing with the 22B is, I don't think I've mentioned this quite yet, the 22B is going to be the first car that I fully tune. So I'm going to build a base map, I'm going to tune it for power, I'm going to set everything up. So this will be my first introduction into tuning for power. I've always been able to build maps to get cars running, get them started, with the exception of the rotary, because I didn't feel comfortable trying to tune a rotary for my first time and whatnot. I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole of having to rebuild a 2 rotary again, because that was already expensive enough. But the 22B is going to be the first car that I take to the dyno, I learned to tune on. So we will see how that goes. That could end in complete and utter failure. And if it does, it's not the end of the world. It's just a short block. We can swap out a short block again. But I need to learn at some point, so I feel like now this is the car we learn on. This is the one we do it with. I would have bought a jet tag. David, I think I actually put a jet tag in with your order. I've been throwing random stuff in with people's orders all day. Stickers, air fresheners, jet tags, things that aren't listed on the site. So, I mean, there actually might already be one in there for you. Man, I would have picked a jet tag. Like I said, I've been throwing these things and stickers and air fresheners and random orders and a whole bunch of other stuff. What's the giveaway? The giveaway is for one of my V2 short blocks. So it is this guy right here. It's an open deck rod piston engine with brand new crank, Manly connecting rods, either JECP or Manly pistons, depending on what I have in stock at the shop. So it'll be for one of our V2 EJs. Or if you don't want the EJ and you already have a built motor, you can opt out for a $2,500 gift card over to Rally Sport, and then you can just buy yourself whatever you want. So we got 2 different things going on with that, so it'll be fun. I do like one of these a year. I've been doing. When was the first one? I know, is Mr. Badger in here? Badger won our first one a couple of years ago, and I still don't think he's put it in his car. I still don't think he's put it in his Forester. I still don't think so. CD5 HP Academy to learn how to tune for yourself. So I don't know. I feel like people who've been around the channel for a long time know that we have worked with HP Academy. I have all of their classes. I actually have discount codes to a lot of their classes. If you guys ever want HP Academy discount codes, I got you guys. That's kind of that. Their classes helped me learn with the wiring stuff when I built Blue's second harness, and I didn't go into it blind like I did the first time, but that's aside from the point. But yes, the HP Academy stuff dude, it's honestly a lifesaver. Corey, appreciate the dono, dude. Two-part question. I finally got my car back from the shop 11 months later. Fuel gauge only goes to half tank. Do I just pull the hanger and bend the float to fix it? I would not bend the float at all. Don't bend the float. If it's only reading to half a tank, I would honestly replace the sensor, because just by bending it back, it may not fix the issue, and then you're going to just have to keep pulling it out. And I think those sensors are cheap enough where you can get them for like 40 bucks or so. I would, you can try bending it back, but I don't see a lot of success happening with an accurate fuel level reading anymore. Since no more EJs, what's in the future for you? We're not going away from EJs entirely. When I said the 22B was my last EJ based car, I meant that is the last car that we will have that will keep an EJ in it. That the 22B is not going anywhere. That car will always have an EJ in it. So the EJ content, it's never going. The EJ content's never leaving. The EJ content's just going to be restricted to the 22B and to customer cars. The 17 STI is sticking with the EG33. We have the FD with the 13B. We have a potential FA24 coming back. We've got the Tacoma, which I'd like to do some more stuff to the Tacoma in the near future, but I'm not really going to count that one. So the EJ stuff isn't going to be going away. It's still staying. It's just staying limited to only the 22B, if that makes sense. We've done so much with EJ stuff over the years, it doesn't make sense to continue just buying more and more EJ-based cars. So we're just going to have the 22B that will be the permanent EJ-based cars. Because the full resto cars, I won't get rid of the full resto cars. The FD and the 22B will not go anywhere. I have I feel like hundreds to thousands of hours into those cars, and I don't think anybody would willingly pay a price that I would set on those cars to buy them from me. So they're not going to be going anywhere. Accidentally went one. Andrew, appreciate the dono. Also, my dude, you guys are killing it tonight. Rays, EJ 205 rods and pistons, Blouch 20 GX TR 1050. What's the cap for the 5-speed to survive? Honestly, the 5-speed will survive depending how you drive it. Hard launches, flat foot shifting, anything that's going to send a lot of shock into the transmission really suddenly is what will kill the 5-speeds. If you go back and you watch the WRX, the 2014 WRX videos we did with the 5-speed still in that car, I launched it, I flat foot shifted it, I couldn't get the 5-speed to die. Some 5-speeds will just die. I've seen some of them just die for no apparent reason other than a one shock load killed them, but I've seen other ones just take shock load after shock load after shock load. So the thing that will really kill the 5-speed is torque, how you drive it, and how aggressive you are on that transmission. Gonna win this, swap it in my STI, then swap my 2.5 RS with my current STI motor. I like where this is going. Weren't you on their podcast? Whose podcast? I haven't been on a podcast in a while. I did one with Dewey at IAG a while ago. In Flatirons Tuning, I did that one a while ago also. Coil level sensor is indeed like 40 bucks. If the car you're talking about is PSP, I have one for mine. Definitely just replace the sensor if you can. I would highly suggest just replacing the sensor versus trying to bend it back. You bend it back, it may not read appropriately still. And then it might read your fuel level's full when it's completely empty. I wouldn't risk it for that. Did you think about putting a turbo H6 in the GC before going 257 or board out 2.7 to make it a 2.2? No. So the GC, the GM6, the 22B, the P25, whatever you want to call it that we're building, that car I never planned on putting the 6-cylinder in. I wanted that to be a strictly EJ-based car that I'm not swapping with a 6-cylinder or a separate engine. I miss having a fun EJ that I can just go out and play with, abuse, drive whenever. Because for the past, I want to say since March, to be honest. Since March, I don't think I have had a fun car that I can reliably take out and go enjoy. I had the 911. That one wasn't reliable under my ownership though. And I just want an EJ based car. The FD is pretty much done. So the FD and the 22B will be two of the factory engines that came in the cars that we can just go out and have fun with. Outside of that, the 17 STI is obviously a weird conglomerate child of what I don't know quite what I'm doing, but we're figuring out as we go. Crazy horsepower car. So that's kind of like the crazy one. But no, the 22B has always been allocated for just an EJ. Yoast Media, how do I get the tight oil drain plug? What do you mean the tight oil drain plug? Yoast Media, how do I get off? Off. And I would just grab like a 1/2 inch or 3/8 impact if you have one, or a breaker bar. And really, remember, lefty loosey though, don't go righty tighty. But either an impact or a breaker bar is going to be your way. You going to do another Evo? I would honestly like to do an Evo 9. The Evo 8 I had, I never thoroughly enjoyed that car. I didn't enjoy building that car too much, and I think it's because it was my first Evo, and I bought it as a completely abused shell of a car that had been parted out who knows how many times. And I think that was the reason why I didn't enjoy the Evo as much as I thought I would. And I never even listed the Evo for sale. Somebody emailed me wanting to buy the Evo, and it was a pretty good price. So I said, yeah, sure, why not? You can buy the car. So I would like to do an Evo 9 in the future, but if I get an Evo, I don't want to buy one that is a completely stripped down shell like I did before. Cheers paper. Is the FA24 or FA20 considered better? Is there any... I wouldn't consider them better. I would say that they're different in their own sense, that they can be considered better in several areas, but I wouldn't say an EJ is better than an FA or an FA is better than an EJ, because they're two entirely different engines. Like, yes, they're both flat fours, but they're two entirely different engines for two entirely different purposes in my eyes. EJs, you can make big power on EJs. We know how. It's not hard anymore. We have a recipe. We follow the recipe. You want to make 1,000 horsepower on an EJ? Cool. Here's what you got to do. You want to do it on an FA? It's kind of a different story. However, the FA is going to be more responsive down in the low end for city driving, or for a daily driver. An FA wouldn't be a bad car. Better fuel economy, obviously a more efficient engine. But then if you try to do the big power stuff on an FA, you're just going to be dropping so much more money. It's just not... It's not worth it for the big power stuff on FAs, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't say one is better than the other. I would say that they're two entirely different engines, good for what their intended purposes are. Are we still looking for a replacement for whatever the Porsche was? It's still on my mind, but I don't know if I want to jump into another car right now. Like, I think I'm just going to sell once the 911's going away. I don't know if I'm going to bring something in immediately, or if I want to wait or what. I don't feel like I need 5 cars. Like, it's just the RX-7 is pretty much running and driving at this point. With the exception of the fuel pump fuse continuously popping as soon as the car starts, which dude, it sounds so good tuned. I wish I would have filmed the little bit of tuning that we did, but we were just kind of focused. I had my phone hotspotting my laptop so Ryan could remote in. Like I said, though, the dyno tuning will be a video, but I don't know if I want to just jump into another car right now. I don't see a need. I don't see a need for 5 cars. Like, nobody needs 5 cars. I don't need 5 cars. I have 4 cars right now. I have the STI, which is my long-term project, the 22B, which is my fun EJ. Honestly, even 4 cars. Nobody needs 4 cars. I just have those 4 because I like those 4. The truck, the 22B, the FD, and the 17 STI is really all I need right now. So it's still on my mind, but I don't know if I'm going to jump into something immediately. Unless a deal comes up on something that I want, and it's too good to pass up, but no. I see how it is. Too busy answering questions to answer my call. Did you call me? Oh, you called me on Messenger. I see Oase, Mr. Oase. FA types have thicker walls. Yeah, but so do EJ 207s. They got thicker walls too. The fastest car I've driven is my STI, which is around 360 wheel right now. What would you consider the best power in an STI? Honestly, 400 to 450 wheel is a really good sweet spot where it's enough power where you can keep up with a lot of people on the street. It's enough power that you can use that power. It's not too much power where you're not going to get over, you can get in trouble with 400, 450 wheel horsepower, but it's not like a 700, 800 wheel horsepower car where when you hammer on it, you're already going 80 miles an hour. 400, 450, I feel like is a really good sweet spot where the car is still going to be relatively very reliable. It's got usable power. It's relatively affordable, speaking for building Subarus. I would say that 400 to 450 wheel is a really good sweet spot. So what do we have to do to win the motor? Asking for... if you guys do want to get entered in to win the EJ with this merch drop, it's the same thing that we've always done. Every $25 you guys spend on merch gets you 1 entry. There's no caps on it. If you want to get entered for free, there is a free entry option as well. If you go into the Engine giveaway guidelines, we have a mail-in option. So if you want to mail in as well, you totally can. But those are the 2 ways for it. And then all of it, you guys will see the list. The list will go up a couple days before the drawing happens. We'll go live on YouTube. We'll hang out for a little while. We'll shoot the poop. And then we will do a completely randomized pick where I let you guys vote on how many times we randomize. And then that will be the winner. So it's 100% random for you. And you guys really dictate how many times we randomize the list before it picks a winner. So I have no influence on who wins what at all. Rip the Hawkeye. Dude, the Hawkeye's still kicking. The Hawkeye's still doing good. I do miss the Hawkeye, but honestly, dude, the Tacoma has been a really solid daily for me, and it's been really nice having the truck to be able to toss the parts in, toss everything in. We can go up and go off-roading in the mountains when we want to, which I'm excited to do this winter because I want to go up into the mountains with the Tacoma and go like snow exploring. I think that would be an absolute blast. We have the winch now. We've got the light bar. We have a whole bunch of other stuff done to the truck, so I'm excited for that. I'm excited to go play in the snow in the truck. Curious why you didn't build a board out 207 for the GC instead of a 257 cost. There's really 207s. They're more expensive than they should be. 207s were a good option 10 years ago. 207s are good engines, but it's just the cost. Like you can build an EJ, you can build a 25 to rev out as far as a 207 would. Like you can do it nowadays. The 25 and you get more displacement. The 25s, in my opinion, are the most affordable option to build. They will take power. They will make power. Parts are very readily available for them. They're also relatively more affordable. Trying to find EJ 207 cases or an engine, I'm not going to spend, like I have a couple 207 cases at the shop, but regardless of the point, if you look at the cost to build a 207 versus a 25, 25 is going to be cheaper, and you can make it do what a 207 will. What happened to the Hawkeye? Did I miss something? I sold the Hawkeye back in, was it March? April? I think it was April or March to buy the Tacoma because I needed a truck. I'm way far back in the stream, but you should supercharge the Toyo. Dude, I've been eyeballing the Magnuson supercharger for the Tacoma for so long, but spending $9,000 on a supercharger is so hard to justify. It's incredibly hard to justify, especially when we're still wrapping up the little stuff on the FD. We're building the 22B. We're doing the 17 STI. Already allocating, like, I need this for this car, that for this car, this for that car. Oh, and let me somehow pull $9,000 out of my booty hole for the truck just because. It's just like, it's hard to justify spending that much. But I would love to. It's on my list to do one day, just not today, unfortunately, or tomorrow. I'm considering getting a Trans Am Firebird 8291. Any advice on what to look? I have no idea, dude. I've driven a couple of them, but outside of that, I couldn't tell you. I think that I don't even know for a matter of fact what engine they come with. I think it's an LS, but I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, dude, I have no idea on those things. Oh yeah, CD5's got some advice though. I have a stock 2013 WRX with an 80,000 miles. Would it be better to buy a car with mods already? No! Absolutely not. I do not buy somebody else's modified project car. You are buying their problems 95% of the time. Unless it is a reputable shop or reputable person that has built the car, you are buying their problems. Yes, it is. I don't even want to say it's more expensive, but you get a reliable car that you know it's been done to it. Start with the stock car, your stock car if you already have that, and go ahead and modify that to your liking. Don't buy somebody else's problems, dude. I'm telling you right now. It is never... It always ends in heartbreak. Always. Are you going to stitch weld the frame for the 22B to make it more rigid? Savage Geese has had RS video on this. I debated it. There's a couple spots I did do it on before I painted and seam sealed things, but I did not do the entire chassis. I didn't feel a need to do the entire chassis. If I feel like the chassis needs to be stiffer, I'm still I still might put a cage in the car, like a half cage from the back seat back, just to stiffen up the chassis a little bit as well. So I didn't feel a need to stitch weld the entire chassis, but I did do some spots here and there. Any idea? Oh wait, no, I missed one. I'm getting EJ20X Forester next week. Completely new to the EJ20X. What am I getting myself into? Awful motor. Absolutely. I'm sorry. The EJ20X and Y are awful engines. They're trash. Everybody who buys EJ20X and Ys, if they're putting them into a dual AVCS STI, stop. Just replace it. Fix the STI properly. Fix it the right way. EJ20X and Y in a single AVCS car, nobody does it right. Nobody does it the right way. You have to retard the cams. You have to make sure that the wiring is there. It's just nobody ever does them proper. And even when they do, they're just not great engines, in my opinion. They're okay. It's a $500 JDM engine to get a car running. That's how I see the JDM 20X and 20Ys. That in my eyes, with all the cars I fixed and all the 20X and 20Ys I've seen, they're just not good. They're just not good engines. I need an aspirin. Appreciate the dono, man. Do you know any Pacific Northwest local open source tuners? Open source? I unfortunately do not. No? I think Wally tunes open source. I think he's the only one that I can think of that tunes open source. Outside of that, I don't mess with open source too much. Open source it's an okay option, but I've kind of moved. Even access ports are a good option still nowadays, but I get it. Access ports are a little bit expensive for what they are now. I remember when access ports were like $495. Now I think they're like 700 and something. It's insane. Paper, appreciate the dono, dude. Just buy the blower, dude. It's so expensive. It is so expensive. Speedio, I got a 2015 STI that isn't making any boost, but is otherwise was running fine, no codes. Might be wrong. I would check the wastegate lines. I would check for major vacuum leaks. You would have to have like a major vacuum leak somewhere to really not be getting into boost. It's like that's bottom of the barrel what it would be. Like unless the turbo is just broken and it's not producing any boost at all. Broken turbo that's not producing boost, huge vacuum line leak, or something going on with the vacuum system that isn't allowing it. Drift Office does open source tuning? I didn't know that. Drift Office does open source tuning. They're out in, I think they're in Auburn too. Does a 2005 STI rear bumper fit a 2005 WRX wagon? With bodywork, yes, but no, it will not fit properly without some modification to it. Bro, we made it. 520 wheel horsepower and E85. The rebuild went amazing. Thanks for those cams I want off you. I know you remember that night. Hey, glad to hear, dude. Glad to hear. 520 on E. That's solid. That's some solid, fun power right there. That's solid, fun, usable power right there, too. How's the car feel? It is expensive, though, bro. I know. Trust me, dude. I know. How do you make the EJ 257 rev out further? Cams, ported heads, valves, valve train, oversized valves. It's all in the headwork. Like, at the end of the day, it's all in the headwork. It's all in the cams. If you port it, etc. You can make them. I mean, we've revved stock EJs out to, what, 9,000 RPM? We were revving out my EG, my 6-cylinder, what, 9,500 RPM? We can do it. Granted, though, the EG33, that was a different story. It revved out that far. Actually, that wasn't even the issue. It may have floated one valve by going out to 9,500 RPM, but the root cause why the EG33 died last time was too aggressive with anti-lag. Like, at the end of the day, that's what it was. And I was extremely hard on the anti-lag at the roll racing event, which I think is really what did the car in. Because I did not hold back on it at all. I full let loose on the anti-lag, did a huge burnout before I raced a twin-turbo C8, and I think that's what did the car in. But it was just too aggressive. It was just too aggressive of anti-lag. How do you feel about Cobb's OTS tunes? They're okay as long as you read the map notes and you are using the appropriate parts for the map notes, which nobody ever does. If you are going to run an OTS tune, read the map notes. It will tell you literally the exact parts you can use. No, you cannot use a Grimspeed intake with a Cobb OTS. No, you cannot use an ETS intake with a Cobb OTS. Yes, you can use a Cobb intake with a Cobb OTS. So they're all right to use. I probably wouldn't use one for the entire lifespan of the car, but I mean, if you're just driving the car around A to B and you need a tune to put on the car and you have these parts, as long as the map notes and the parts match, you'll be all right for the most part. Showroom car for what, the 22B? I mean, in theory, it should be showroom quality. Those third gen F bodies, generally speaking, came with. I think this. Yeah, that's for the Trans Am stuff. What's the worst DIY install you've come across? The Torque Solution solid U-joint. I hate it. I absolutely hate doing those. They are not fun. When you have a full driveline in the car, the engine in the car, and everything like that, it is the worst install to have to do because you have to support the transmission, take out the cross member, take out the linkage, knock the pin out, knock the second pin out, somehow get your hand up there to pull out the old U-joint fork, take off the old U-joint, make sure the new U-joint goes on in the proper orientation, otherwise you're going to have issues. Somehow manage to push up another one of the roll pins back into the thing, push the second roll pin back into the thing. Dude, it's the worst. It is the worst DIY install to have to do. Perry tuned in Rhode Island. He might E-tune. Tanner, how bad is the EGR for carbon buildup on the FA even with an AOS? I mean, it's negligible. The EGR, yes, it will add some extra carbon deposit, but like I said, the biggest thing on the FA is if you want to get rid of carbon deposits is you need to walnut blast the valves every 30,000 miles or use Subaru slow induction service. There is no way around it. AOS, EGR delete. It doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if you have the EGR deleted and you have an AOS and you have all this other stuff. You will still 100% need to walnut blast those valves every 30,000 miles. I believe it's in the service manual for every 30,000 miles also. Did I miss talking on the 17 STI? Super curious. We talked about it a little bit, but I will pull the photos back up. You guys kind of see what's going on here as we go through some more questions. GoFundMe for Taco Blower. Absolutely not. No. No. Second voice of reason, don't buy someone else's build problem, speaking from experience. I'm telling you, dude, it always ends in heartbreak. Always ends in heartbreak. I think JR can open source tune. I have no info on that. I have no idea. He might be able to. You got a nasty hole in the line. See, that's what I'm saying. Boost, it's got to be a really bad boost leak on that. Have you ever thought about a lifted WX build? Honestly, no. I haven't. I don't... Like, yes, they're history of the WX STIs and whatnot is rally. Yes, I get people lift them to the off-road tire stuff. For me, with Subarus, I just don't care to do that with Subarus. Like, this just... Like, the truck, yeah, I'll lift the truck. I'll put the all-terrains on there, and I'll go have fun with the truck out there. But I'm not trying to blast through the woods at 80 miles an hour. It's so expensive. I have a ton of friends that do the rally stuff. Like, you can do it on a budget, but it's not the cheapest hobby to get into. Not the cheapest. Will you ever get a Supra? I would love a Mark V. I would love to get a Mark V Supra at some point. Melanie, you like the new Supras?
Yeah, cool.
Melanie likes them. Look at that. You want to go get one?
Maybe later.
Maybe later. We'll see. No, maybe at some point. I do like the new ones. Yo, Tanner, why does the EJs blow up that easy, or why is it common to happen? Honestly, it's people. It's really a people problem. Yes, I will agree. Some EJs from Subaru did have a manufacturer defect. However, most of the ones that I see, I fix a lot of these cars. Most of the blown up EJ problems I see is owner-induced, shop-induced, mechanic-induced, tune-induced. The biggest thing with EJ, it's not a Honda. It's not a Honda engine. It's not a naturally aspirated engine. You change the amount of air that enters or exits the engine. You change the amount of fuel that enters or exits the engine. You need to tune for it. You cannot have, and I see this happen too a lot, you cannot have high demand, low load situations. Speaking, you can't be at 2,000 RPM in 6th gear and mash the throttle. You're going to have, it's going to introduce so much potential knock in the engine that you're going to kill the engine. It's 100%. And I don't want it to seem like you have to drive these cars a certain way, and that's not just Subarus. That's all turbo engines for the most part. You cannot request a large demand from the engine while you're at a low load. You have to downshift, get the RPM up a little bit, so that way you can actually ease into it, or if you're already hammering it, stay into it. I see people money shift them all the time. I see people install parts on them wrong. I had one car come through at one point where an AOS was installed 90 degrees of how it should be, so it was parallel to the car instead of vertical, and you end up with oil backup in the engine and blows up the engine. If you go back and watch the warranty job done wrong one, you'll see PCV crankcase breather was completely pinched off. You can't have that. You're going to have pressure buildup inside of the engine. Timing belt guides. The timing belt was literally pushed up against the timing belt guide. So most of it, what I see is, and I don't want to make it seem like these are hard engines to work on. To be honest, Subarus are some of the easiest cars that you're going to work on. But there is a right and there is a wrong way to build these cars at the end of the day. So to be honest, most of it I see is owner induced. Now, I'm not saying that some Subaru engines don't inherently have problems, because some of them do. Or what you'll see of a lot of people of, and this goes back into buying somebody else's project earlier, you'll see people be done with their time with their car. You'll see them half-assed parted out because they want to make some of the money back. They'll take off the access port because it's an easy thing to uninstall. They uninstall it, it flashes the stock map back on, but oh, they still have a downpipe. Oh, they still have injectors. Or oh, they still have X, Y, or Z parts still in the car. And then you, little Ricky Bobby, comes and buys the car next, not knowing that the car may or may not have these modifications, no tune on there. You go rip on the car because you're excited, you just got this thing, and then 2 weeks later it blows up. Like, at the end of the day, that's really the root cause of the problem. Tanner, what should I expect on labor costs for a clutch replacement on a 2013 WX new flywheel, pilot, and release bearing, rear main seal? I'd expect like $1,500 maximum for a clutch job like that. That's really what I would expect. Talk about piston slap versus rod knock on the EJ. I mean, piston slap can, to a degree, be... Well, first of all, you shouldn't have piston slap on a stock engine. They're cast pistons. You shouldn't really have it. You may get piston slap on some built engines depending on what the piston to wall clearance is. As the piston heats up and the engine heats up, they heat up at different rates, so thermal expansion is going to take place. So while the engine's still cold, you may have piston slap. Piston slap, for the most part, should go away once the engine is warmed up. If you have rod knock, you will hear that thing all the time. Piston slap should go away after a little while. I just watched all your RX-7 videos in the last 3 days. Love the content and and the car. Keep up the great work. Hey, I appreciate it, dude. I'm hyped. I'm hyped with the RX-7. It was so much fun to be able to drive it around the other day when the weather was nice. I don't know if I'm going to use it as a... I don't think I'll drive it around in the rain and whatnot. The windshield wipers don't work in that thing, so I'll probably keep that for like a nice day car. Best recommendation to STI swap GC, buy parts on eBay, Facebook, or used wrecked vehicles. Honestly, 541 Motorsports has been a pretty good place where I have bought parts in the past. They part out a lot of Subarus, as well as other cars, and you can pretty much buy everything you would need for a 6-speed swap there. Or the other option is Facebook Marketplace. I have bought 6-speed swaps off Facebook Marketplace. I feel like that's a little bit more of a gamble sometimes because I've gotten some good ones, some bad ones, and some okay ones. But Facebook Marketplace, 541 Motorsports, eBay is really going to be your best 3 bets for finding that stuff. What is the best racing fuel to use for EJ257? Honestly, if you have E85 available, E85, you can get pretty aggressive with the tuning. You can, or the engine's going to run a little bit cooler since E85 is going to burn cooler. Obviously, you're going to use more fuel, but outside of that, E85 is really the way to go. If you don't have E85, meth is a good option as well, but if you're going to be using meth, make sure that you do have proper safeties built in, because you don't want to go to do a pull and your meth tank's empty and then you destroy your car. I definitely going with a really mild overland style with my 04 FXT. Honestly, Foresters are fantastic overlanding cars. I see them do it all the time. They're fantastic cars for that. Tanner, I live in New York and need an e-tune base map for my new build. You recommend a tuner? I know Josh e-tunes. I don't think Surgeline e-tunes. JR, I believe he may or may not e-tune. I don't know. With e-tuning stuff, I've always used Josh in the past. He's been pretty good about it. I would hit him up. I think he's still on vacation, though, right now. If I get 1300 X injectors, FP Green, wall barrel 450, what would the horsepower be? Ballpark. I mean, not knowing literally anything else about the build. Well, what are you using? Pump gas? E85? Because that's going to be a huge difference right there. Absolutely huge difference. Pump gas safely, 400 to 420. E85, you could probably push a little bit more, 460, 480-ish. But I don't... Oh, you said 1300. 1300s are going to be a restriction there, but... FP Greens, dude, they'll get down. They'll get down. Love the videos. Watching your videos made me want a Subaru again. Went out and bought one owner STI hatch. Nice! Nice! I like me the hatches. 08 STI hatch was the first STI I had. I absolutely loved that thing. Then I sold it for my old 07 STI, and then just went down the rabbit hole. I don't know what it is about Subarus, man. I could sell all my Subarus and go buy some crazy car, and then a month later I'd be like, I want a Subaru again. I don't know what it is about these things, but for some reason they just keep drawing you back. What's up, brother? What's up, dude? What's up, buddy? Common signs of Ringland failure. Loud, excessive metal crunching noises in your engine. Excessive oil consumption. Blow-by. Blue smoke out of your exhaust. Trouble starting. Trouble running. Reduced power. I think that's going to be like the bulk of what you're really going to see. I mean, you can run a compression test and really see if... if you're low on compression, that could also be a valve. You'd have to do a leak down test to really find out without tearing the engine apart, but those are kind of some of the common signs you're going to see. What's a realistic goal for an EJ257 on pump 93? That entirely depends on the setup max. You can do 250, 300, 400, 450, 600, 650. It really depends on the setup and what your goals are. There's not really a blanket answer for that. Used EJ257 from reputable JDM stores. You think engine refresh like what you did on some of your video for daily driver fun, not building a crazy car. If I'm buying any type of used engine, I'm gonna tear it apart. I'm gonna refresh it. Doesn't matter. If I already have the engine out of the car, it makes sense to refresh it right there versus just putting in a random used engine. I would always suggest refreshing it. Any alternative builds for the giveaway FA24? Yes. If you don't want the built EJ25, there is an alternative for it. You can opt out for a $2,500 gift card to Rally Sport. You can buy yourself whatever you want. Wheels, wings, carbon fiber, steering wheels, turbos, exhausts, exhaust manifold. You can get yourself whatever you want. So if you win the giveaway and you don't want the EJ25, then you can sub out for a $2,500 gift card to Rally Sport, and then you can just go buy yourself whatever you want, and you can ball out. You can ball out on it, man. Do I still have the Hawkeye? I do not. I sold the Hawkeye to buy the Tacoma because I needed a truck. Which honestly, I've been really happy with the Tacoma. I like that thing a lot. Smitty, is it possible to build a 600 wheel horsepower EJ 257 and runs? Not, yes, people do it. People have done it in the past, and people will continue to do it. Yes. Hello from New Zealand. What's going on, Jordan? How you doing, man? Where did I just leave off? I just lost it. Have you ever worked on FB20 engines like Subaru Impreza 2020? I have not. I've seen people do hybrid stuff with the FB20 FA stuff and kind of mix and match stuff, but for the most part, FB20 engines are really just A to B engines. There's not a ton of performance behind an FB. Subarus are like meth. Dude, I don't know what it is about them. Man. They do keep you coming back for more. They do, for some reason. For some freaking reason, they do. Where did I just lost where I was? Hey, do you plan on doing any other colors on the new 2020 or 22V shirt? I don't ever wear black. Maybe a gray shirt in the near future. Maybe in the future we can. I primarily opted to keep all the shirts black with the exception of the FD blowout shirt. Just for the case that I know myself and other people, a lot of us wear this stuff like when we work in the garage and things like that. And with any color shirt that's not black, it so easily stains and just ruins the shirt immediately. And for the next drop, I'll keep that in mind, and I'll try to do a couple other color options. It's really expensive to stock a lot of this stuff. For this drop, if you are wanting to grab anything, I'm telling you right now, because a lot of stuff has been selling all day. I ordered 50 of everything that is on the site for the merch stuff. After that, it goes to pre-order, and it's going to be made to order. But with stocking a lot of all this stuff and not doing make to order, it's so expensive holding inventory and having to pre-order a lot of this stuff and keep it on hand. I will try to do more colors in the future if we're able to grow this. I will try to do more colors if that makes sense. I will try. No promises right now, but I will try. I may have missed it before. I jumped on, but is there a time frame on blue? No. I am not putting a time frame on that car. I put a time frame on that car. I'm going to rush that car, and I don't want to rush that car. I want everything to be done proper. I want it to be done right. Also, for the sheer fact, I don't know what we're doing with a lot of it. Since we're putting an engine in the back of the car, this is the first rear engine STI I am aware of, I've ever seen anybody do, especially with a 6-cylinder. So I don't want to put a time frame on this car and be like, all right, it's going to be done in 6 months, because I don't know. I don't know what challenges we're going to run into. I don't know what timelines are going to be on some of these custom parts that we're going to need, like the reverse bell housing, the reverse pinion. I don't know if we need custom axles or not quite yet. I don't know if we can mix and match axles to make something work. So I don't know, unfortunately, right now, because it's entirely new territory. Sometimes you shouldn't let out the JDM magic when you buy a depot engine. And you're not wrong. What's up, Tanner? Any updates on Big Bertha? Yes, so engine is actually mounted up in the trunk. This is kind of what we're looking at. This is the rear subframe setup and the transmission crossmember in here now. There is more bracing that is going to be added in, but it's coming along. The engine in this photo, the engine sits about 3 inches higher than where it is in this. This was like an initial concept when we just put the engine in the trunk. So this will go up about another 3 inches from where it sits now. So you guys can see the transmission crossmember. They're trying to add as much bracing and strength into the crossmember as they can, and putting rigidity and strength back into the rear suspension. Now, something that I think, some of you guys might not think this is cool. I'm nerding out about it because I think it's really cool. The transmission crossmember and the rear suspension still utilize all OEM suspension pickup points. So that means no custom arms. We don't need to do any customization of that stuff, which is huge, because if we were to, say, break a lower control arm, I could just hop online, order a lower control arm, and it'll fit in this. So I personally think that's one thing that's really cool about this, is it still utilizes all OEM suspension pickup points. But it's coming along. They're absolutely killing it, dude. They're absolutely killing it. Sometimes, yeah, I know, right? What's your take on the low coolant level frequency in a reservoir for an O4 FXT? No visible leaks or other systems. What do you mean, like low coolant frequency? Honestly, I would start with the easy stuff. Start with the easy stuff. Radiator caps. Really depends also on how low that is getting too. If it's not getting insanely low, or if it's just kind of dropping down, because the coolant in the reservoir is going to increase and decrease as the cooling system pressurizes and depressurizes. So if it's something that's not wildly out of the normal range, I wouldn't stress it too much. But let's say you like fill it up completely and like a day later it's all the way empty, then obviously that's a sign for concern. But keep in mind that the coolant reservoir will change in volume as the engine pressurizes and depressurizes. So if it is something that looks alarming, I would start with doing easy things. Replace the radiator caps. Do a cooling system pressurization test and see if coolant is coming out somewhere. Maybe it's coming out of a hose. It could be internally leaking, which if it is internally leaking and it's consuming coolant, you will see a substantial amount of white smoke or a noticeable amount of white smoke coming out of the exhaust. So I would start with the easy stuff first before going straight to head gasket failure. That's just me. I managed to get an access port for $350, $230 USD. That is not bad at all. That's honestly a steal right there. My car's 100% stock. Should I install it now or wait? Honestly, if you have a bulk mods or you have like a goal that you're going to be doing all at once, do them all at once, get tuned for it, and go from there. Do built engines run OEM engine miles? Yes and no. There's a lot of variables that go into it. How aggressive is it tuned? How are you driving it? What are you doing with the car? I have a couple of my built motors that are 70,000 miles right now, and they're still going. I would consider that OEM engine numbers. I've had some go 30,000 miles. But I've seen stock motors fail at 5,000 miles. So there's so many variables that go into it. In theory, if you were to have a stock tune on both cars and you had a stock engine in one car and a built engine in the other car, in theory, would one outgo the other? Potentially the stock engine, cast pistons, they're going to be a lot, they're going to be quieter, tolerances are a little bit more manageable. Built engine, you have a little bit tighter tolerances. It also depends on what the main bearing and the rod bearing clearances are set for, what oil you're using. So I'll say a built engine can outlast a stock engine, but a stock engine can also outlast a built engine. It's you're throwing a dart at a dartboard on how long it's actually going to last based off so many variables for how the car is treated and how it's used and how it's abused. What are the signs of a rear diff going out on an 05 STI, and how difficult is the process? Well, if the diff is going out, you can replace the innards of it. Signs of it going out, you might hear clicking, you might hear grinding, it might not want to drive smoothly. The biggest sign of a failing rear diff, you're going to see metal come out of it too when you drain the fluid, but the biggest sign I'd say is you're going to hear it. Most of the rear diffs that I see fail, you will audibly hear them before they explode. I also have seen some just explode though, but I mean, I would drain the fluid out of it first, see how the fluid looks. If you notice that it's driving weird and you think it's coming from the rear end, maybe have somebody stand outside the car, listen as you drive around a circle, or they can listen as you drive a circle around them and see if they can audibly hear anything as well. But if a rear diff is going out and it's starting to get crunchy, you're gonna hear it, and you're also gonna see metal in the fluid, like a lot of metal. It may sound crazy, but you got me selling my R32 GTR to build my dream 05 STI wagon. Honestly, coming from a prior R32 Skyline owner, okay, overhyped 240s. GTRs, GTSTs, overhyped 240s. I love the R32 platform for the Skyline stuff, but my God, I do not want to pay R32 tax. When I had my R32, it was god awful. Trying to find parts in the United States is very expensive, and some parts are a little bit more difficult to find than others. But B, like driving it, mine was just a GTST, it was a GTST Type M. But just driving it, it just felt like an overhyped 240. However, I do love me a good RB20. That is the smoothest sounding engine I think I've ever heard. But can't go wrong. 2005 STI wagon is gonna be sweet, especially when it's all done up proper, man. Like I said, dude, there's something about the Subarus. I don't know what it is, but they pull you back in somehow. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know how. I don't know what they do, but they do. First mod due on a stock 2013 WRX. Maintenance and fix everything wrong with it before you start modifying it. Yo, what's good, bro? I love your videos. Underrated as fuck. Hey, appreciate it, dude. I appreciate it. Building single AVCS versus dual AVCS. Personally, I prefer single AVCS. It's cheaper to rebuild. There's not a huge difference in gains you're going to get from dual AVCS over single AVCS, but single AVCS, I build all my stuff with single AVCS. You only have to replace 2 oil control valves, 2 cam gears if you have an engine failure. It's just cheaper. It's just cheaper. Have you ever had to replace the exhaust AVCS oil control valves on a dual AVCS car? It's ungodly expensive. It is ungodly. And then you need 4 cam gears instead of just 2, unless you send your 4 out to be cleaned. But it's just, I personally prefer single AVCS. I like my single AVCS stuff. I meant getting blue back from Fab. That I'm not sure of yet. Probably a couple more weeks. I told him not to rush. I mean, we have the 22B, the FD that we're taking care of. We're saying goodbye to the 911 in the next couple of weeks as it goes to its new owner. So I told him not to stress it, not to rush it. Take their time, do what they got to do. So I would assume the next couple of weeks it'll be back. Thanks for that. The different color shirts. I just bought one, and if you put out more colors, I'll get one of those too. I got you. I appreciate it, my man. I appreciate the support, you guys. You guys are absolutely killing it. I dropped off, I think, the first 50 orders at noon. So if you placed an order before 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, it should already be in the mail on the way to you. Hi from Scotland. What's going on, Liam? How you doing, man? Brian, you're famous. See Kyle gets it. I have an 04 STI with a VF48 with normal bolt-ons. Do you think a header is worth it? I mean, I wouldn't. It depends. That's a hard question to answer. I mean, I personally suggest equal length headers on the unequal length stuff. You get better EGTs across the board. It's just the biggest thing I go with headers. If you're not looking for performance gains, if you're not looking to build a fast car, if you're not looking to do anything crazy, yes, you can stick with unequal length headers just fine. The biggest thing, if you want to really push a car, EGTs on unequal length headers, especially cast ones, dude, it gets so hot on cylinders 2 and 4. The runners are significantly longer, so it's going to build up more heat in there. If you're wanting to just get a header to get a header, get a header. But you don't absolutely need one. You don't need one. If you're trying to make power, get an equal length header. If you want the sound, just stick with unequal length and enjoy the sound. At the end of the day, equal length power, unequal length sound. Which J-pipe do you recommend for 2017 W? Honestly, ETS. When I had my 2023 WX, granted it was an FA24, not an FA20, ETS J-pipe, it never threw a check engine light. Never threw a check engine light on that car. Sounded good, was easy to install, good quality. Can't go wrong with ETS. Gotta leave, make sure you save the stream. The stream will be posted up for anyone to watch after this if you want, so it will be on the channel for later. Then what? AOS? AOS is a good reliability modification to have, yes, but I don't recall what the AOS is in reference to, Mr. Paper. I got a P2008 and P2001 after the dealer replaced the right-hand air pump P2411. Do you think, well, I don't know what these codes are off the top of my head. I want to say P021 is slow cam response, but I could be wrong on that. Is that cam response? What is Ultra P201? Intake manifold runner control circuit open 2? Is this for air pump? Is this air pump? WRX. We'll just say WRX. Car in limp mode. Please have it. What is this? Just tell me what the code is. Intake manifold. Okay. Solenoid bank 2. Open circuit. Is this TGV? Is this a TGV code? I don't even know what this code is. The actuator is unplugged, battery, broken wire. It sounds like TGV. I would say TGV. Make sure your TGV is plugged in. That's what I would assume. P0, P2800. Is this also similar? It sounds like TGV. Subaru. Sounds like TGV to me. Yep, TGV! 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 It's either bad TGV or TGV's unplugged. I would just check down there, make sure that the TGV is plugged in. If it is plugged in, unplug it, blow in it, plug it back in. If you still have the problem, it could just be a bad TGV. Could it be related to the dealership replacing the air pump stuff? Potentially, depending on if they replace the valves, because the valves are located. What is this? What was the car? What's the car? Is the car WR? Is it? If it's an EJ, I could see it potentially. There's a possibility if they were too rough with the TGV motor on the back of it. But honestly, it seems kind of unlikely. It might have just been time for the TGV to die. But that's TGV. TGV, unplugged or broken. That's gonna be my guess on that one. Subaru, specifically WRX STI, seriously pull you. I don't know what it is about them, man. For some reason, they just pull you back in every single time. Every single time. If I'm Vice, I'm making EJs great again. Do you think the WRX will go up in value over time? No. I don't see WRXs going up in value at all over time. Unless it's like a special edition or it's a limited edition or something along those lines. Honestly, I don't even see STIs really going up in value over time. I could see GD STIs going up over time. If they're clean, low mileage examples, I do not see 15 to 21 STIs, maybe 2021 STI, but that might be it. I do not see VA STIs going up in value. They made so many of them, dude. They made so many of them. They're going to be around for a very long time, unless it's an S209, a Type RA, or maybe like a Series White or a Series Gray 50th anniversary, something like that. I don't necessarily see them going up in value too much. You should put an external wastegate on the 22B. It'll have an external wastegate. It'll also have fresh air anti-lag, which is dope. Have you guys ever seen fresh air anti-lag? It looks wild. Fresh air anti-lag setup. These look wild. This is what we're doing. So you see all these little tubes right here? All these little tubes that go to this valve, those feed fresh air into the exhaust. That's what we're doing. We're doing fresh air anti-lag and external wastegate. It'll be the whole king pool. This stuff's going to be gnarly. This will be fun because I'm going to be welding and fabbing all of the fresh air anti-lag stuff up, so I'm excited for that. That'll be a whole video on its own. We're still a ways out from that, but fresh air anti-lag. It's cool stuff. It's cool stuff. I like that stuff. What should I replace to just get 400 wheel horsepower and minimize costs? My man, I got a just spun a bearing on my 08 EJ207. Got the engine torn apart last night. I would go check out the video I got on the channel. It's called How to Make XYZ Horsepower in WRX's STIs. It'll give you an entire parts list, and I think a cost. I think I put a cost in there also for how to get to 350, 400, 450, 500, 300, that entire power band. It'll give you a total parts list for everything that you're gonna need. Loudest catback for 2013 WRX, Tomei. Dude, Tomei with a downpipe. My God, they're loud. Also, good to see you're doing well. Love the content and personality. Wishing you the best. I appreciate it. Troll Gaming. That's a fun name. Troll. P2011 TGV signal to left-hand circuit malfunction. Might be a fuse. I doubt it's a fuse. I'm pretty sure both. You could check. I don't think there's a relay, I believe, for the TGVs, but I don't think there's a fuse for the TGVs. What type of engine oil do you recommend for a car that's pushing 450 to 500, still stock STI motor with good quality parts? I don't know the specifics to your bearing clearances because I didn't build the motor. For just a generic 10W40. Can't go wrong with 10W40 for most Subaru engines. I know with the engines I build for people, I kind of ask them what they're using the car for, what their bearing clearances are going to end up being, what oil type they should use, what oil viscosity. So without knowing the specifics of your bearing clearances and the exact setup of it, I would say 10W40 is a pretty safe bet. It's pretty safe across the board. Corn cobs are growing in Ohio. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Hey, Media, what do you think is acceptable price range for a walnut blast on an FA20? I think I normally see prices for walnut blasting around like the $500 to $600 price point. I think that's what I've seen them go for. I also haven't had an FA20 or an FA-based engine long enough to have to do it, so I couldn't give you an exact price on that. I know Subaru has a slow induction service where they don't have to walnut blast the valves. They let the car run. They feed in a chemical into the intake system, and it cleans off the backside of the valves. I see GDWX is going up in price a little bit, though. It's uncalled for. Uncalled for, in my opinion. GDWX prices should not go up at all. And that's nothing against them, but most of the GDWX that I see are absolute clapped out piles of poop. Like, to be straight, they're poop. They're rusty. They've lived their lives. They're beat to hell. They looked like how my 2.5 RS looked like when we got it. They should not, unless it's like a clean example. Are there downsides to anti-lag? Absolutely. You can kill an engine with it. You make anti-lag too aggressive, you can bend valves. You can make your valves and your pistons kiss. It gets hot. You can overheat. You can burn up valve seats. There's a lot that can go wrong with it. We're going to start mild with it. One thing, I'm new to Instagram. What top 3 to 5 Subaru-related Instagram accounts do you recommend to follow? Oh, God, dude. There's so many of them. What's been the one that's been around forever? SubiFlow. They've been around for like 15 years. God, there's so many. I couldn't tell you an exact one. I know there's a lot. I would just go onto the search function, just type in like Subaru WRX STI, find some accounts, and you should be able to find the ones that you like or dislike. There's the ones that really get me that I just don't like the repost accounts. I'm never been a huge fan of those ones. How much could Type RA hold wheel horsepower reliably? I made a video on this. But reliably, 380, 400. I'm going to tell you that. Can you go farther? Yeah. Have we gone farther? Absolutely. Should you? That's entirely up to you. That is entirely up to you. But reliably, I'd say 380, 400. After a rebuild, when roughly would I be okay, in your opinion, to start pushing the engine? Honestly, some people might heavily disagree with me. After a fresh build, 100 miles. I will drive a brand new build 100 miles, and I'll beat the shit out of it like I normally would if the car was a 20,000 mile engine. The thing with engine braking is nothing is breaking in. The only things, there's really two things that break in on an engine. Cams. If you have brand new cams in the car, you have to follow a procedure called a cam break-in process, which you will be changing your oil immediately after you complete the cam break-in process. You're going to let the engine come up to temperature, you're going to burp your coolant, you're going to do whatever you got to do there, and then you're going to hold the RPM at a specific value dictated on your cam card for cam break-in for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. You're going to do an oil change immediately after that. Aside from cams breaking in, the only thing that is going to break in is the rings on the fresh hone of the cylinder wall. Your bearings don't break in. Your bearings and your crankshaft, your bearings and your crankshaft, they don't touch. They should not touch. If they touch, you're going to have serious problems. There should always be a thin film of oil between the bearing and the crankshaft. So your bearings are not breaking in per se. The only things that are going to be breaking in are your camshafts and your rings to your fresh hone. And the rings to the fresh hone happens very quickly. After that 100 mile point, everything's going to be downhill for that engine for the rest of that engine's life. I would heavily suggest doing a lot of engine braking in that first 100 miles. That's going to be just when you're coming to a stop, let off the throttle, don't hit the brakes, let the engine slow you down. It's going to pull vacuum on the rings and it's going to suck the rings to the hone, and that is going to help them seat. That is going to be the biggest thing that you want to break in on a brand new engine is the rings to the hone. Outside of that, it's just your cams. So for me, 100 miles, that's what I consider for my own cars a broken in engine. If you have an engine from an engine builder who is not myself, and they give you a very specific set of, hey, you must drive the car 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 500, 1,000 miles, etc., for the engine to stay within my warranty program or whatever, then obviously follow that. I'm not telling you to go against what your engine builder is telling you to do for your engine. I can tell you for my personal engines, I do 100 miles. After that, I send it. Fastest SUV in Colorado, Funky Built. Funky Built. That's a fun name right there. Funky Built. Funky Built. How about GG's? I think it's starting to go hard to find out where about harder to find. I mean, I guess. Opinion on electronic power steering or normal hydraulic power steering? Personally, I prefer the electronic steering. I have the electronic power steering rack out of a 2019 WRX in my 17 STI, and I would not go back to hydraulic at all. It is a variable rack, so at slower speeds, it feels a lot looser, and then at highway speeds, it stiffens up, and it goes based off of the can of the car, so it sees all of the inputs from the car, wheel speed, things like that, how fast you're going, and how quick you're turning the wheel, and it's a variable rack. It's a really nice rack. You don't have to worry about power steering leaks, power steering pumps going wrong. It's 5 wires. You got can high, can low, 12 volt on, battery power, battery ground. That's it. Absolutely love it. Out of curiosity, where does one purchase those little plates that go over the intake exhaust ports? Company 23. They make them. I've been extremely happy with mine. They keep stuff from falling into the engine. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I don't really get it, but if I get the flex fuel kit, I could run on pump gas or flex, or mix, right? Mix. So what a flex fuel sensor does is it will read the ethanol content of the fuel. And if you have a tune for flex fuel, the way flex fuel works, you're going to get tuned on pump gas and you're going to get tuned on E85, and then those maps get overlaid. And then if you have a flex fuel sensor, it's going to read the ethanol content coming from the fuel going into the engine. It will pick that percentage up, send that percentage to the ECU, and then it will put your car kind of on a graph or on a plot, and it'll say we're at this ethanol percentage, we're going to be at this much power, this is what we're going to be able to do. So you could have full E85 in the tank, get down to half a tank, and then fill it up with pump gas, and it's going to auto adjust your tune to where the ethanol percentage dictates it will go. So it takes all the guesswork out of having to measure your ethanol content, make sure your tank's fully empty, and it's just kind of an ease of life thing. I read that one. That was hard to read, Liam. One that kills these engines is giving them a kicking when it's not heated up. Always bring time. I mean, obviously, yeah. Always warm the car up and get it up to temperature before you beat on them or anything like that. Always bring them up to temp. Funky Bill is on that racing channel. I gotta look this up. That's just a fun name to say, man. Funky Bill. Running lean. You probably got intake. I don't know what that is in response to. When did electric rack? When did the electric rack? They never came because I have an 18 and it's fluid. So the electric racks never came on the STIs. They were always hydraulic. But what you can do is if you have a 2015 plus STI, you can take the front subframe out of a WRX, put it in your STI. You will have to notch it. You will have to notch the subframe for your up pipe if you do this and you are still rotated or stock location turbo. You'll have to cut a notch out for the up pipe. But once you have that subframe in, you can literally bolt in the FA20 electronic power steering rack. Now, the power steering rack has to be out of a 2019 to 2021 WRX because all of the motors and everything are isolated onto the rack and they're not separate from that. So everything you would need is directly on the rack. And then you just wire it up to your CAN high and your CAN low and then a switch 12-volt source. And then obviously your battery positive and negative with an inline, I think it's a 60 amp circuit breaker. And it'll just work. It'll just work. So it's... You don't have to. It's an ease of life thing. For me, it was a space thing because I didn't want to run a power steering pump anymore. I didn't want to have to deal with all the lines, the mess, the racks leaking, and any of that stuff. So you can retrofit them on. Now, the WRX electronic racks will not bolt up to an STI subframe. They do have different mounting locations, so keep that in mind. You can't just buy the rack and put it on your STI subframe. All-wheel drive BRZ project? That would be fun. I would be down for that. Maybe in the future. Speedy, do you still use the same head unit for the STI? Yes, I still have an iDoing in the STI. Honestly, it's been great. I haven't had any issues with it. But here's the thing with iDoings. iDoing head units they're either going to work or they're not going to work. There's literally no in between with these head units for some reason. So keep that in mind. For some reason, it seems like to be a gamble with them. Or next best solution. What's the best workaround for the GD Flex Fuel ban? Standalone? Unfortunately, standalone, a Link, a Haltech, any of the standalone options out there. But I am jumping off, you guys. It's about 8 o'clock. We've been going for about an hour and a half. If you do want to get in on the Bill EJ giveaway or the $2,500 opt-out gift card for Rally Sport, we do have this going until the end of November. Like I said, every $25 you guys spend on the website will get you one entry into the giveaway of the fun stuffs. There is a free entry option as well. If you go to the website and go to the guidelines, giveaways, and everything like that, it will tell you how to enter for free if you want to. Like I said, it'll run till the end of November. But I got some more orders to pack and get shipped out for you guys. Those will be going out tomorrow morning if you place an order during the stream or after 1 p.m. today. We'll do another live stream on Sunday. I'm going to allocate time for it. I got a big calendar coming, so I'm going to try to stick to the calendar. I'm going to allocate live stream days. At minimum, dude, it's so hard. Maybe I'll start doing them at the shop because that's the biggest thing. I was running out of time, and I leave the shop at like 8 p.m. So maybe I'll just start doing them at the shop. I don't know. Anyways, with that, that's all I got for you guys on this one. So I will catch you guys in the next one. So I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy. I think our clocks roll back an hour or go forward an hour. I don't know. I remember the time changes here soon. But anyways, with that. So thanks for swinging out, everyone. Always appreciate the donos. Always appreciate the support. You guys kill it every single time, and I hope you have an awesome weekend. So peace out, homies. Woo! See, this is the awkward part of every stream. I do the woo, and normally in the videos, the video ends, and I have to